Now what? Thank you for joining me on this great Tuesday. I'm Dr. Catherine Gilstein, and I am looking forward to empowering you with information about financial literacy and economic empowerment. I will continue to post on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, but I will be adding to my podcast since I have great interviews lined up. So today I am joined by Julie DeLucca-Collins, who is founder and CEO of Go Confidently Services. And today we're going to talk about the importance of time management and healthy habits because not everything is just about budgets. So, all of these things take place to help you get to where you want to be. Julie, thank you so much for joining me today. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here to speak on something that I'm incredibly passionate about. I have to say I'm a nerd when it comes to habits and time management. I learned because I was not very good at it. And I knew that in order for me to be better, level up, I needed to really grasp this. And this was an area that we were always improving on. I started my career as a teacher, and then I decided that I wanted a little bit more. And a few years into that, I went to work for an educational company that took my background in retail and teaching and let me grow through the ranks of the company. It was a national educational company. And throughout that, as I continued to get promoted and move up, I knew that the best thing that I needed to do was learn to manage my time because otherwise it would manage me. And that's how I got started
Absolutely.
into this path. Now, fast forward after 25 years in a corporate career, I knew that I wanted more, Catherine, and I wasn't sure what that was going to look like. Now, of course, as that constant learner, I had gone through a coaching certification and another training and whatnot. And then finally, I said, maybe it would be really fun to help other women because as I grew through that company ladder, right, that corporate ladder, what I found is that there weren't a lot of women, right? The higher you got up, as I got to the VP level
Absolutely.
and above,
Hmm.
there weren't a lot of women. And most of the time I would hear from them, I wish I was just as confident as you are. And the reality is that I don't always feel very confident. And I'd always felt like there was a piece missing or that I wasn't doing enough, but I still put myself out there despite the discomfort. And I found that habits is not about, the perfection. It's about the practice. And the same thing with confidence. It's about showing up and looking to do it 1% better. At the pandemic, I was laid off and I knew,
Absolutely.
okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to help other women. And this is how it all started. I founded Go Confidently Services to help women find the habits that help them create the right confidence to whether grow in their career, start businesses, become speakers, etc.
That's wonderful. And what you say is so true. The higher you get up on the corporate ladder, the less females there are.
Hmm.
And I think it's more because, not because we can't do the job, but because we have that self doubt and we have
Absolutely.
that second guessing of ourselves. And I think that's where we need to take a breath and say, hey, wait a second, because I see it in myself. Like, I don't think I do much, right?
Hmm.
I have my
Hmm.
job, career, family, do stuff. And then, but when I had to sit down and do a self evaluation for myself, for my job, to go up for promotion, and you have to list everything to do. And
Hmm.
I'm like, wow, I've like done that in the last year and a half. Wow, that's
Right,
that's
right.
a lot, but you never think about it. You know,
Yeah.
you just never think about it.
Absolutely. We're not trained and I'm here to help
Hmm.
change that. I love to be able to work with individuals and even just in conversations, remind
Hmm.
ourselves that, wow, you did that. And ta-da, right? Sometimes we really focus on the
Hmm.
to-do, but we don't focus on that I did it, ta-da, look at me, because we're trained that you don't want to brag, you don't want to be too, out there and it's
Right.
not right. It's not right. Toot your own horn. And I was incredibly lucky that
Hmm.
I had a dad that always said that to me, honey, if you don't toot your own horn, nobody will.
I always tell my students the same thing. I'm like, The only person who thinks you are the best thing since sliced bread is your mom,
Hmm.
and you
Hmm.
know to start thinking that about yourself.
That's right.
And
That's right.
you don't want to be, if you don't want to hire an average person, don't be an average person. You know,
Oh, that's
so
good.
like if you're going to sit in the classroom, if you're going to be here,
Hmm. Yeah.
like fully be there. And I think that goes to no matter what industry you're in. And I try to let the students know, because I spent
Hmm.
20 years in banking, retail
Wow.
banking, investments, annuities, securities, things like that. And I've spent
Hmm.
the last 11 years in academia. So teaching undergrad students. Currently, I run a
Hmm.
grad program, which is really sweet. But I always tell my students, I'm like, I understand you want to finish and make money, but you need to find your passion.
Yeah.
You need to
Hmm.
find what you love and then what you're good at, and kind
Hmm.
of put those two together. I'm like, the money will come.
Yeah.
You'll get
Agreed.
there.
Agreed. 100%. You've got it
Mhm.
right. And I think that sometimes students, I wish I knew that, right? And I wish I had someone that really put me in that path. But I went to the school of hard knocks after school, right? And then I got
Mhm.
into just doing the personal work that got me into that personal development.
Mhm. So when you work with clients, what are there a couple of tips that you could give us for,
Yeah.
starting out?
Well, here's the one thing that I'm going to say. A lot of times we think that if we do something for 30 days, 21 days, 66 days, there's a lot of
Mhm.
different things out there that point to a number, right? That is going to take for you to adopt a new habit. And here's the reality. And one of the things that I struggled with is that I would do the 21 days and then it still wasn't working, or the 66
Mhm.
days, or the 3 months, whatever it was, right? And I knew that there was a piece missing. And the more the research that I did, I found that motivation is not what helps you create new habits. And this is what people tend to think, that I need to be motivated. And I kept looking for the right motivation to do the thing, right? Now,
Mhm.
I heard someone speak and he changed my life. His name is Dr. BJ Fogg, and he is the founder of the Behavior Lab at Stanford University. He has been studying habits for his entire career, and
Mhm.
he has researched a lot of what it takes to be able to create these consistent, always lasting habits, and also how to be able to break habits. And that's obviously another story. But the one thing that I found is that when we go big, right, I'm going to start that diet or I'm going to start working out, what we're doing is we're relying on that motivation, right? And motivation gets us started. But when the task becomes hard or when life starts lifing, right? Then
Mhm.
all of a sudden the motivation goes away and the hard task is very difficult to accomplish. So, what Dr. Fogg talks about is you want to not rely on motivation to get started. You want to just create the consistency so that your brain can automate that process. And the way to stay consistent is to make the task very small, very tiny, so that it's not only easy to do, but you're also pairing it with an existing behavior, something that you are already doing, because our brain likes to be efficient, Catherine. And already
Mhm.
we have tons of habits that we don't even pay attention we do. So when we pair something new with an existing behavior and we make it so small, it is easy to complete, then our brain begins to automate it, and it becomes easy to all of a sudden have it become an automation and a consistent habit that we undertake. Now, here's the secret sauce, what most people don't know. And this is something that I also didn't know. Our brain does that automation when it feels good. So when we do that small task and we say, "Oh, good job, Julie, you did that," right? Then all of a
Mhm.
sudden your brain says, "Oh, I like feeling good. I like that dopamine that you gave me from giving me credit that I did it." And then it starts to really consistently be able to create that new neural pathway. So we
Oh,
want to,
interesting.
yeah, so we want to take the celebration. And sometimes we think like, and most of my clients will say, Julie, what do you mean celebration? It doesn't have to be really big, right? It has to be, think about when you get an email and there's good news in the email and you like, oh, that's great, right? Kind of replicate that feeling or that
Mhm.
sensation, because your brain doesn't know that you're not reading a good email. It just knows that you're feeling good, that you're pepping up for that little thing. And then that's what your brain is doing. It's starting to automate because of the good feeling. And that's what's helping you create those new neural pathways. Now, Dr. Fogg, he wrote a book, and this is where everything comes from, right? It's from the book Tiny Habits. And I've gone through and become a certified Tiny Habits training through coach through Dr. Fogg. But the other piece that people don't know, because there's a lot of habit books out there, the majority of those habit books are written with the research that Dr. Fogg has done. But what he does in his book is he really automates that and he really makes it so easy to implement. So the recipe is you have an existing behavior and then you do the new behavior and then you celebrate, right? Action, behavior, and then celebration. So those are the ABCs of habits. And that's how we get started.
Okay, action, behavior, celebration. I like it.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
very interesting that you say that because when people in general, okay, and this has been studied too, is that when we have a win, we usually say we get complimented, thank you, and we
Hmm.
move on.
Yeah. And we move
But
on.
if we should make a mistake, then we harp
Hmm.
on that and
Yeah.
we focus on that negative way too long.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what you're talking about here, and those are those behaviors that we have. Like I said, so yeah,
Hmm.
celebrate the wins. So how small, but
Yeah.
celebrate the wins.
Yeah.
That's really great
Absolutely.
advice.
Well, and
Um,
I'll tell you, when it comes to productivity, time management, a lot of people think like, oh, I have to do a whole new um, change and shift, but it doesn't have to be like that. It can start small. For my clients, one of
mhm,
the things that I tell them, right, you're not going to go and change your entire schedule overnight. You're not going to become the productive person overnight, but you can create an aspiration and remind yourself of that aspiration. I am a person who is productive. I am a person who gets certain tasks done. I'm a person who goes to the gym, whatever the aspiration is. And then, for instance, here's the thing I teach my clients. If they want to be more productive in their day, the first thing that they should do is the action is when they come to their desk in the morning, right? That's the action. Then the behavior is they open their calendar and look at it, right? And then they celebrate. Now, they're not, changing calendars or not shifting things. They're just getting started with something very small and simple. And what happens with small habits, right? As we create them, habits are like plants. Once they're there, they start to grow roots, they start to expand, and that's what happens with your habits. So even though you're starting small, it's giving you the runway for you to be able to then grow and expand.
absolutely. And I think time management is so important. And I
Hmm.
really do stress that to undergrad students, especially when they're first starting out in college,
Hmm.
especially if they're going away to school. It's
Yeah.
their first time on their own with all of this freedom
Hmm.
that they've never had before.
Yeah.
And you need to schedule time. You need to schedule, 5 minutes to take for yourself
That's right.
just to breathe. And you need
Mm,
to schedule, 10 minutes for this. So the same way you schedule in your classes and your work and your gym schedule, you need to
yeah.
schedule that time for yourself and what you're going to do. And I think creating that over and over, and to your earlier point, consistency.
Yeah.
And it's not
Absolutely.
about being perfect, it's just
Hmm.
about being consistent. So if
Yeah.
you can get that 5 minutes every day, it's kind of like drinking water. I hate
Oh,
water.
yeah.
It's the worst. I absolutely hate water. I don't think it's
Yeah.
good. I don't like it, but it's good for you.
Yep.
And I've gotten into the habit of just drinking so much water every day just because it's good
That's
for you.
right.
So I do it.
Hmm.
And then miraculously, my body knows,
That
hey,
you're
you
that's right.
haven't had enough water today. And
Hmm.
it gets used to that feeling. So, the same way, your body will get used to that rhythm and that schedule that you put together for yourself.
Absolutely. And Catherine, I'm going to tell you, drinking water is probably one of the habits that I teach the most, also, in addition to productivity. Here's how I got myself to drink water. And you see, I have my little cup.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the secret. I have 3 dogs, and in the morning, the first thing I have to do is let them out. So typically, what I do is I leave the water bottle or cup next to the counter next to the door that I would let the dogs out. So here's the behavior, right? In the morning, when I let my dogs out, right, and they go outside, then I fill up my water bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal is not I'm going to drink it right there or I'm going to take all of it, but my goal is just to fill it up. Once I fill it up, I celebrate. Yay, good job, Julie. You're a girl who drinks water every day, right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
reminding myself of that aspiration, of that identity of the person who drinks water every day. Now, of
Mm-hmm.
course, now that it's full, of course, I'm going to take a sip. Okay, let me take a sip and get myself going, and that kind of leads to me bringing the bottle in here. Of course, the more I drink, the more I have to go to the bathroom. And this is where, right, that other behavior of going to the bathroom then is the trigger that reminds me, hey, go fill up your water bottle again and refill it. Once I refill
Mm-hmm.
it, I celebrate. Good job, Julie. You refilled your water bottle. You're a girl who drinks water every day, and so on and so forth. And that's how I adopted that drinking water habit.
Yeah, and then if you don't have enough water on certain days, your
Hmm.
body feels it. Like,
100%.
I could feel it in my body. I could feel it in my skin.
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't feel as, I don't feel as hydrated as I
Yeah.
should.
Hmm.
So, it
Yep.
is all of those little habits.
It is. It
With
is.
um, any other tips and tricks for our audience?
Yeah, sure. The other thing too that I know that when it comes to productivity, and this is something that a lot of times we are reactive to the things, and then we also allow other people to put their priorities onto us. So therefore, we end up not getting done or moving forward in the projects and the things that we want for ourselves. So one of the other things that I teach my clients, and this is I know it scares the bejeebies out of them when I say this, but when you start your day, I want you to, for as hard as it may be, do not open your email, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
reason that I encourage individuals to not open their email is because email is one of these things that it really is somebody else's priorities on you. And then all of a sudden we start answering emails, we're going down the rabbit hole, and the next thing you know, right? Like an
Absolutely.
hour has gone by, and what did I do? Nothing. And then we feel bad.
Nothing.
I
Yeah.
did not accomplish anything, and we start going down the beat yourself up spiral. So the way that I encourage individuals to check email is very simple. And I learned this from a great mentor, Dr. Travis Perry, and he wrote a book on time management. And I've worked with him and made a big
Mm-hmm.
difference for me. I designate what I call them is processing time within my day. And in the morning, I usually have about half an hour or so. And what I'll do is when I open my email during that designated time, I've already done other things, got a little productivity under my belt, got some things done, and say, oh, yay, go me. I go in and I open the email, and rather than starting to answer email, I go through and I scan it and I go through and I said, okay, who do I need to reply right away? And I open the email.
Absolutely.
I open that email and I say, okay, this person wants me to answer this. And I think, is this going to take me more than 3 minutes or less than 3 minutes? So if it's less than 3 minutes, I answer that email right then and there. If it's going to take a little bit more for me to answer, maybe I need to look for something or go and check
Mm-hmm.
or write a
Right.
proposal, whatever it might be, then that actually gets put in look, I'm going to show you. It gets put into my little list for the day, my processing
Mm-hmm.
list. And I'll say, okay, answer, Catherine's email today. And I'll go in and I'll write it So then after the half hour is done, I've done as much checking as it's
Same.
going to be.
I'm
And
the
I have a
same. My
designated
book,
time for that. Yep, there
my
you
book.
go. Yep. Yeah.
I do. I have my appointments in my phone, but I have my,
Mhm.
and I love a Lily Pulitzer planner. I've been
I
using
love
them
Lily
for, oh my gosh,
Pulitzer.
like so 15 years. And I have notes, stickies,
Hmm.
post-its. Like I have it for all my interviews. Like for you, I have
Hmm.
a note with Julie and what we're going to talk about. And so
Yeah.
when I go to post it, I have my notes and I can do all of that. But yeah,
Right.
I love my planner. I put in there, when stuff is due, and
Yeah.
it keeps me overly organized. But
And not
I'd
only
rather be
that,
overly organized than
yeah,
be
it's
able to process it.
it's so good that you do that. And I'll tell you, the benefit of that is that our brain, right, thinks in pictures, things, and when there is something scientific that when your hand is actually writing something, it
Mhm.
actually is encoding itself in your brain more. I just heard someone called it using a planner and putting the stickers and doing the color pencils. I don't go that far, but in the planner, and I do keep a digital planner, but I keep my daily planner as well. And
I
for the
do, I have
day,
both.
I
Yes.
go in and I write everything, and it
Mhm.
helps me kind of put into context what is going on. Now, this person called it a creative planner because they are very creative and they doodle and they do several different things within the planner, but it makes a big difference. And if you adopt, maybe you're not going to get a planner, but maybe you say, you know what, I'm going to write out the top thing that I need to accomplish today, right? Just pick one. You don't have to do it all, but pick the one thing that is going to move you forward, the thing that
Mhm.
aligns to what you do, the thing that you are working towards. If you really identify the thing that moves you more, then you're going to find that you become more productive. But really, managing your inbox, it's all about prioritizing. It's all about deciding when you're going to, because obviously we need to not blow people off in our inbox. We need to reply to emails.
Absolutely, yeah.
But by the way,
Mhm.
nobody is, unless they tell you in the inbox, I need a reply right now. Most people are okay. And what I've done and what I teach my clients as well is you train people, right? I have actually a client that has a little
You're
reply
setting
on
the
her inbox.
expectation.
Yeah, you
Absolutely, yeah.
have that expectation, and she puts in her signature for her emails. She said, "Thank you so much. If you email me, please know that I only check my inbox twice a week." And you will get a reply. So she's not even telling you in 24 hours. She's telling you once a week, I'm going to check my email and then you'll get a reply. Now, I don't know how
Mhm.
she does it because I'm sure if it's anything like me, her inbox must be really crowded. But I love the fact that you are setting the expectation, you're creating the boundary,
Yes.
and you are
Mhm.
then prioritizing what's important to you and how you want to move forward. And once you start doing that, you're going to feel more confident.
I think that's a huge piece because a lot of people have their work emails on their personal phones.
Hmm. Yeah.
And if you do that, that's okay. But you need to set the boundary that
Hmm.
you're not going to reply to work emails after 6 o'clock
Yeah.
at night or whatever time
Hmm.
it is. And you're
Yeah.
not going to reply to work emails on Saturday or on Sunday.
Hmm.
Because once you do that, you're
Oh,
letting
forget
other
it.
people know that you are
Hmm.
available 24/7. And you're
Yeah,
not. And you
you're
shouldn't be.
not.
Um,
Yeah.
anything in the academic world for me or the podcast world for me, I don't think it's life shattering. I think it can wait a day.
Hmm.
So I'm okay not responding.
That's
Um,
right.
but it took me a while to train myself not to answer work
Hmm.
emails on a weekend.
Yeah, it
And
is
it's hard.
hard. It's hard. And I've been there, by the
It's
way. I
it's
don't want
hard,
people to think that
but
I'm
I do it.
perfect at this.
Yes.
It took
Hmm.
me a long time, and here's
Agreed.
here's what happens. And I know that this was really the case for me. As I grew through the corporate ladder and I was going after the new promotion and trying to shine and show up the best way, I wanted my supervisors, the bosses, the powers to be, to think, look at Julie. She's always on top of things. Oh, she's so competent. But I will tell you, doing that, not having the boundaries, answering emails at all periods of time, compromising your well-being, your time,
Absolutely.
your intentional margin, then it depletes you. And at the end of the day, you're going to show up less than you could if you had that margin. We make it mean that if we're not getting back to someone right away, we're not good enough, or we are, not on top of things, or not competent, or they're going to think, oh, forget
Not
it,
the
I'm going to
case.
go to this other person. That's not the case.
So not the
You are
case.
going to be
Exactly.
respected so much more if they say, oh, that's right, Julie doesn't answer emails until Monday, right? So
Mhm.
that thing in itself tells someone that you are not only prioritizing yourself. So when you do show up, you're showing up at your best, but you're also
Absolutely.
giving people the message that, hey, maybe I need to do that. And it's hard. We can't turn it off. We live in an instant gratification. But if you see me
Hmm.
do it, perhaps it will help you do it as well. So it's all about us creating this circle effect for everybody else, and really supporting others through the work that we do for ourselves.
Absolutely. Those are such great points. How can my viewers find you?
Well, you can find me if you type in Julie DeLucca-Collins. You'll probably find me somewhere in the internet, but the best place to find me would be my website, which is goconfidentlycoaching.com. And on the website, in the resources page, you can find all types of blogs, or different. I have free courses. I also have other materials that they can take if anybody is interested. I also offer a 5-day free Tiny Habits challenge in there, so that if people want to learn how to use tiny habits for their
Wonderful.
life, I can help them. But you need to just go to goconfidentlyservices.com and the resource page.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
So
you're
remember,
welcome.
there is not a one size fits all for anything. You can visit my website, set up some time with me to help you create a personalized action plan based on your current financial situation. No matter where you are in your career, you deserve to have representation. Be open to learning, be open to listening, ask questions. What more do you want to know? Remember, be invaluable for what you share, not what you know. See you next time on your 18 Now What, where you can always find the latest podcast episode to listen to, follow, share, and subscribe. Julie, thank you so much for joining me. My audience, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me.